I swear at one point I was so in awe of what was happening, I was thinking in the back of my mind, I am so glad this is just a movie, it's all fiction, none of it's real, and then you realize it's a documentary. This is crazy. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Every single weekend I'm reviewing the brand new series or movie on Netflix, and this weekend it's Tiger King, the brand new documentary series. If you don't know what this is about, stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. Non-spoilers at the beginning, and then we'll dive deep at the end. And of course, leave your comments down below and hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy these kinds of reviews. So, this is a true crime documentary on Joe Exotic, an Oklahoma polygamous country singer and gun toter who houses a horde of lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, in his roadside zoo, and is accused of planning the killing of a local animal rights activist. So the beautiful thing of something that is a true story and is still in the process of happening, I mean up until 2019 is when we get footage, and we span across 10, 20 years of footage figuring out who this guy named Joe is, where he comes from, how he got to where he is right now, and where he was in his prime. And he really was at one point, well, at least known as the Tiger King, right? But I don't want to go into full detail at the beginning of the review, because what captivated me about this documentary series is every single episode there would be a point where something would happen, or there would be a twist, or you would learn something new about one of these characters, and you would just be in awe of how, and I use the word crazy, and that's why I put it in the title, how crazy the individuals are involved in this situation and how crazy the events that happen become. And you can use the word unexpected, but that still doesn't encapsulate the feeling that you get every time you encounter one of these turns in the story, man. I was fascinated. I was locked in, and not that I necessarily relate to pretty much anyone involved with this situation, but you're just so interested to see where they're going next. Now, obviously, Joe Exotic, he is the Tiger King, and he's the guy that we start out with, and we learn so many things about him that make us sit back and go, okay, we just don't know exactly what he's planning. We don't know if he's in this for the animals or if he's in this for himself. And then we get kind of the other side of the picture, and we meet someone named Carol. Now, Carol is supposed to be this animal rights activist. Now, she has tigers of her own, and she has animals of her own, but she is doing the proper thing by giving them spaces to live freely in instead of taking advantage of them for the money, right? Well, that's what we think at the beginning, but the more we learn about these individuals, the more we realize that they're not all that different from each other, even though they have completely different ideologies. The way that they go about life is drastically different, but at the end of the day, they're both doing the same kind of thing. They're both exploiting these animals for the money, and they both have extremely shady things about their past. Joe, of course, is married, but not only is he married to one individual, he is married to two individuals. It is a three-man marriage, right? And the further we deep dive into that relationship, the more we realize that it isn't exactly what we see on the surface. It's not what it's showcased to be in the first episode. So that in itself is interesting. And then we see how he runs this entire operation, how he starts out genuinely loving and caring for these animals, which is exactly what he set out to do in the first place. But as his exposure got more broad and his fame got bigger and bigger, his head began to grow with it, and it turned into, well, what we see in the final few episodes, which is a man who got caught up in so many different puzzle pieces along the way, and it all led to, well, the end of the reign of the Tiger King. I won't say exactly how it goes down just yet, but it's a fascinating thing to witness. And then we come to Carol Baskin's side of things. Now, on the outside, in the first episode, or when we first meet her and we first get to explore her past, they're hitting on a few things here and there, and I'm sitting back going, it's odd. It's a bit quirky, but I understand that she believes in what she is doing until what Joe has been saying about her all along comes to light, and you basically learn what happened between her and her former husband. Now, that has never been settled, and it is still something that is going on to this day. The rumors and the fascinating discussion about what happened with her ex-husband. But I'm here to tell you, Yep, not on her side either. So I'm sitting back not rooting for either of these people. But I was still so locked in because where this story went and the more we learned about every single individual involved. Whether it was something that made you say, okay, I guess they're not as bad. Oh, they did that. Okay, well, I don't like them anymore. Or when it's tragedy that strikes these individuals that we're not supposed to be rooting for, but you still feel emotional when they feel emotional, until you realize that they're just taking advantage of that situation. So it's just this ongoing cycle of betrayal and corruption and doing things for the wrong reasons. And this really all stems from something that I believe is pointless in the first place. It's like, why is this a thing? Why are you doing this? I get it if you have an affinity for something like this, and I'm not going out there telling people, you need to... It's just ridiculous. Like, why do you want to do that? I understand you're going to make a lot of money off of it, but that's when it comes down to the corruption aspect of how all of these individuals, whether you're Carol saying you're doing it for the right reasons, and then you realize she's not doing it for the right reasons, and then you explore her past, and you realize even more so that there's something up there, and then Joe Exotic, who you want to care for, you want to, I want to be on his side so bad, but you just can't because literally everything about him is either deception, corruption, or just pure chaos. And that's what makes this documentary fascinating. That's what makes this documentary just completely entertaining. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk towards the people that were involved with this situation and that lost things. And there was a lot that went down. But I'm judging the documentary from an entertainment standpoint. And it is different when I judge a documentary compared to something scripted, which is why I don't do it as often on this channel, because it's less the filmmaking and more about what we're covering. And what we're covering was definitely entertaining. So that's when you start going into the filmmaking and the techniques and how we are unraveling this story. And the way that they told this story was great. They pieced together in such a way, and of course they're going to use, the conventional music cues and the storytelling technique of the voiceover and how we're interviewing these people now, and we're flashing back and forth through time, piecing pieces together from his past, showing plenty of videos of Joe Exotic, and I mean, we're talking music videos because this guy is a wannabe country singer, which were some of the funniest things. I mean, some of them were actually pretty good, but some of them were so hilarious when they were first starting out. That was entertaining. And the point of a good documentary is to get you hooked from the get-go and not let you loose. I watched 2 episodes. I was debating on reviewing this or not. I'm like, I don't know if I should keep going because I feel like I know where this is headed. But if you think you know where this is headed after the first 2 or 3 episodes, you will miss out on some of the more integral pieces on the FBI investigation, on the new players, Jeff, that comes into the situation and just makes things worse, and they continue to spiral out of control to the point to where some people get what they deserve, others are let off the hook, some of them are still running around to this day, and not to say that everyone involved had a bit of crazy in them, but there were a lot of people in this situation that were just so corrupt, and they're doing things for their own benefit. See, when I say crazy, I don't even necessarily mean what you think. I just mean approaching things from the standpoint of, I'm going to be selfish in this situation. I'm going to get away with this no matter what. And the way that they go about it is just so, it's corrupt, to be flat honest with you. And I'm talking the majority of the characters. You think you're going to like somebody, then it turns out they tried to kill their husband. So before I give you my score and talk a little bit about what happened to each of our characters, be sure to smash that thumbs up button and comment your thoughts below for sure. I'm going 85% for Tiger King on Netflix. Now, obviously, you can't get behind Joe Exotic because what they uncover about, one, what he was doing to the animals, whether it was, when they're getting sick, you have to take them out, and he tried to come up with reasons why, but I just sit back and go, why were they in your possession in the first place? And he was obviously even more so exploiting them for the money because, as he descends into madness, we realize that he only cares about himself. He wants to be the Tiger King, whereas he started out caring about the animals, and the fact that he allegedly sent out someone to assassinate Carol Baskin. This is a great example of why you should just shut up on the internet when it comes to whether it's a death threat or saying something that you probably shouldn't say, posting something that you probably shouldn't post, because even if he didn't do it, all of the evidence is out there in every single video, in every single monologue that he's had about Carol in the protests, saying he would do what he allegedly did, even if he wasn't going to do it himself. And that's what he got in trouble for, combined with all of these other things, and that is why he is in prison right now. It's a lot to take in. And once we get to that point, that's when we can sit back and say, oh my goodness, the fact that all of this happened, he lost Travis. And the video of Travis, which is one of his husbands, that was just so disturbing, man. That was so disturbing, seeing that guy's reaction to him shooting himself. Oh my goodness, that was awful. Shocking seeing actual footage of that happening. And then Carol Baskin, yes, she was on the other side of all of this crazy stuff happening from Joe, but I think she's the biggest hypocrite of them all. I think Carol Baskin is a person who says she's trying to do one thing when she's really doing something else and being the person that she's saying these other people are being. And then the stuff about her ex-husband, I don't want to say anything, but come on, man. I feel bad for Rick. I feel bad for John. I feel bad for Kelsey. I mean, my goodness, what happened to Kelsey's arm? That was tragic. All of the people involved, some of the people who just showed up one day and got involved with this situation. When I say that everyone involved is crazy, I don't literally mean everyone. I mean the main players of the documentary series. And some of these guys were just caught up in the midst of the madness. And I mean the madness. But the focal point and at the center of all of this are these animals, whether it's the tigers or the alligators when it's blown up and you see it was a tragic loss of life for the animals. And I'm not one to go out and protest and, animal rights and all of this stuff, but I'm sitting back going, I feel awful. I feel awful for these poor creatures that are put through this, that are exploited, that are this and that. So made you feel a little bit, right? I'm sitting there petting my dog the whole time like, you're good, buddy. I'm not ever going to do that to you. Yeah, but those are my thoughts on Tiger King, man. It's a crazy documentary series. It's one that I don't necessarily have a harsh opinion on of, these people, this and that. But I would love to see your comments. I'd love to see your thoughts. I would love to see about how you feel about this as a whole. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. You're truly the best, and I'll see you soon.